Hi everybody, I hope you're feeling well. Here we are. I miss you a lot. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Well, I know that you're having fun. I get some of the messages, I read them on Story Park, and it's really nice to hear what you've all been up to. So many people seem to enjoy the last story I told, so maybe I'd bring you up to date with what some of the characters are up to. I can tell you that it's been pretty exciting, and it's also been very tiring. Well, the weather changed. It became a lot sunnier. The weather cleared up, and we had a day of sunshine. The bunny was found. He was hiding in a hole that he had dug himself, very near the house. And the marvelous little bird sat in the house that I built in the tree for her, and she seemed happy in it, whistling and singing the way that birds do. But the next night, I was in bed asleep. I was dreaming about taking amazing trips to faraway lands, when I was woken up by the most extraordinary crashing and banging, sawing and hammering. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Chopping and stomping. Boom, 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 boom. I tried covering my ears with my hands, but that didn't help at all. I tried covering my head with my pillow, but the sound was too much. I didn't dare go outside to see what was going on because, well, I was afraid. So I lay in bed until morning when the sun came up, and I was brave enough to take a look. Well, what did I find? When I woke and I walked outside without even getting any breakfast, because I was so curious, there in the tree where I had put the little house for the marvelous bird, there was a whole new house, much taller and wider and deeper, much bigger in every direction, and not just sitting on a branch of the tree like the one I had built, but built into the tree, with big branches coming through the walls, the floor, and the roof. There was a door and a window, and the door had a window in it too. I wondered at the little bird's ingenuity, her cleverness, and also how she had done all this without fingers. Not only that, but she had left everything so neat and tidy when she was done. So instead of going inside and getting myself some breakfast, I had a long talk with the marvelous bird about this marvelous house she had built, and many other things beside. "Of course I could build this house," she said. "People are builders only by accident. Some can build things, but others can't. All birds, though, can build nests. We have to. Every animal can make itself a kind of home it needs, except for people, who are each good at different things, not necessarily building a home for themselves." "But you don't even have hands," I objected. "Yes," she agreed, "that's true. But a bird's beak and feet are very useful. Anyway, don't you see people without legs who play basketball and rugby? People without arms who can paint beautiful pictures. And people who are blind who take expert photographs. It's not hands and feet, or even eyes, that make the difference. It's imagination and determination. You must see what you want to do in your mind, and then keep at it no matter what." I said that sounded great, but I didn't think I had enough imagination all the time. "Really?" she said. "Think now about all the creatures that only exist in your mind," she said. How about some of the creatures we talked about before, like the tiger frog? and the monster truck baby, and the snake boy. And many other creatures only existing in your mind, that only your mind could come up with. It's true, I said. We are able to imagine all sorts of things and creatures and happenings, but still, I'd like to fly, to lift off the ground and float anywhere I like without an airplane. Just me, flying where I want. But I can't without wings, can I? No, not even you can, I said to the marvelous bird. You don't have any wings either. Well, she said very patiently, but what makes you think you need wings to fly? And then something very strange happened. I began to feel light. I could no longer feel the tree against my back or the earth underneath me. My legs were lifting up in front of my eyes, and my arms lifted up to my sides. And soon I was released from the earth, and I was surrounded by sky and cloud. The green ground was far below me, and the tree, my house, the bird, and the bird's house, all were growing smaller as I rose up, light as a feather. I went sailing out, away from my home, into the countryside, sometimes rising, sometimes bobbing up and down, like a feather in the breeze, or a little boat on a pond. I flew out into the air, high up where clouds and birds sail. I held out my arms like wings and flapped them, and this helped me move forward. I kicked my feet, like swimming, and went a bit faster. Below me I saw farms and houses, people and sheep, bridges and streams and hills and rivers. I discovered that if I kicked my legs and moved my arms the right ways, I could go higher or lower, as well as moving side to side. A kite came into view in front of me, and I flew up to it, then saw the tiny little girl far below me who was flying it, and I swooped down low to look at her and her house and her yard. She must have mistaken me for one of the birds who had joined me and were flying alongside me all this time. I kept going, further and further over hills and lakes, and I came to the big city, with all its tall towers and its ferry boats, its buses and trains and cars, and people walking in the streets and looking out of windows, its parks and museums, sailboats bobbing in the harbor, people having picnics or shopping. I turned in the air and did cartwheels. I zoomed along, free as a bird. But I should have been paying attention to the dark clouds that were gathering in the very direction in which I was flying. Before I realized it, and before I could change direction, I was caught in the middle of a fierce storm. Thunder boomed all around me and lightning flashed on every side of me. The wind was wild and furious and threw me upside down and tumbled me head over heels, rocked me this way and that until I had no idea where I was anymore. And the cold rain poured down and soaked my clothes through and through, making me heavier as my clothes absorbed the water, and I began to sink lower and lower in the air. But toward what? I could not see. It was so black and thick with rain and with clouds. Just as suddenly as the storm began, it ended. I found myself floating above a huge body of water and realized the wind must have blown me clear out to sea. Below in the ocean waves, fish looked up at me, and they must have thought that I was a very strange-looking seagull, hoping to make them my dinner. Thinking about this reminded me I hadn't eaten any breakfast that morning. If it even was the same day, I'd lost all sense of time and didn't know how long I'd been away. But I sure was hungry. For a little while I just floated there wondering how I might catch one of those fish and wishing I were a little bit more like a seagull than I was. Night fell, and with it many stars. It was cold too. All around me was nothing but the secret, silent night. So quiet I could hear my heart beat. So secret I wondered if anyone at all knew where I was and what I had been doing all this time. I wished I were back home instead of lost in this deep, dark night of nowhere. I was also very tired by now, but realized that if I fell asleep, I'd probably go crashing straight down. Looking off into the horizon, I could see it was getting lighter. Black night was giving way to morning. So to keep myself awake, I started whistling and then singing songs until the sun came up and I could finally flap and kick my way back home. The day was sunny and bright, and I made fast time getting back to my home, flapping and kicking all the way. When I saw my house down below, I noticed I had left the bathroom window open. So I flew right in, so glad to be back. But I had had no practice landing. And I didn't aim myself very well. "How was your flight?" asked the marvelous bird. "I think I prefer walking," I said. "Well," said the marvelous bird, "be careful about what you wish for." Well, everybody, that was the latest news among those characters. I hope you have lots of happy news to tell each other and me in the coming days. And I hope we can all see each other very soon. In the meantime, stay happy, stay healthy, and keep wishing. It's important. All the best. I miss you.